Hello everyone. Welcome to MartechBrain, a NetCore initiative where we speak to the best brains in MarTech and delve deep into one topic. My guest today is Sanket Zaware, Head of Digital Banking at Saraswat Bank. He has previous experience at Axis Bank, NPCI, and Bank of Baroda. And the chosen topic, it's a very interesting one today, is digitization in cooperative banks. And we'll dig deeper also into how cooperative banks are different from the regular banks we are familiar with. It's a fascinating story. Welcome to MartechBrain, Sanket.
Thank you, Rajesh. It's a pleasure to be with you on your show, and thank you for inviting me. And looking forward to sharing as much knowledge as possible about cooperative banks and their journey in digitization for the world to know.
Absolutely. So let's begin with a little history on cooperative banks and the RRBs, which are called the regional rural banks. It's an astonishing number of such banks that are there in India, right?
Absolutely. I mean, when we talk about banking, generally we talk about the large public sector banks like State Bank of India, Bank of Baroda. In terms of private banks, we talk about HDFC, Axis. But there is this set of another set of banks which we call as cooperative banks and regional rural banks, which form a very important base of the pyramid, okay, in the Indian banking structure. But somehow, even though we have around 10 crore plus customers today banking with the cooperative banks, they are never in the limelight, or I would say they are only in the limelight when something goes kaput and something goes bad in terms of financials, but they do not get the limelight or the footage in terms of the way they are helping in the area of financial inclusion and serving the unbanked. So if I may tell you, and this is, even I was surprised when I joined NPCI, because that was the first time I also started interacting with cooperative banks, and we came to know that there are around 1900 cooperative banks in the country. So while we think that there might be only 40, 50 or 60 banks that we've heard of, there are 1900 banks spread across the length and breadth of the country. So you have Jammu State Cooperative Bank at the north, you have a bank at the bottom end of this country in Kerala, you have a bank at Gujarat, you have a bank in Nagaland, and these are cooperative banks serving a very localized community and catering to very specific needs. So if I may give you some numbers, so every state in the country, okay, has got one Apex bank, which is a state cooperative bank. So there are 30 plus state cooperative banks, including the union territories. Then next, you've got district central cooperative banks, which are 365 in numbers. These are directly attached to the Apex banks in their respective states. Okay. Then there is a third category, which we call as urban cooperative banks. Now, in urban cooperative banks, you again have two types. One is the scheduled banks and one are the non-scheduled banks. Now, these urban cooperatives, they are traditionally focused on communities. So you have a Saraswat community, or in Andhra, you would have another community which is represented by a certain bank. And these are catering to very, a specific locality. They have a workplace groups, etc. So you have a coastal local area bank. Okay, you have a Inadu bank. You would have something like a state transport employees cooperative bank. Okay, so they lend to a very small base, but they are content with that. So while the focus is not much on generating profits, the focus is on catering to the specific community with which they are associated. Okay, yeah.
One question, and then it will be good to actually bring out what is the difference in shareholding pattern, ownership of a regular bank versus a cooperative bank.
So while the regular banks have their equities traded in the market, such is not the case with the cooperative banks, and the shareholders are actually the members and the owners of the bank. So you have a regular shareholding and you have a nominal shareholding, and so it is up to the the promoter group or the board whether to allow you to be a shareholder or not. And a shareholder, a member has to be a shareholder of the bank before he can be lent some money.
Very interesting. It's almost like the Amul model, which is there in for milk and now, of course, other products applied in the banking case, the cooperative
Absolutely.
model.
So if you see, Amul is nothing but a cooperative society. It was formed as a cooperative milk union, and the same model is today replicated across the country. And the same, actually, if you see, the structure remains the same throughout the country in terms of the structure of the cooperative banks. I would also like to point here the what the state cooperative and DCCBs do here, because they also play a very important role. Today we talk about farm waiver, okay, farm loan waiver, okay. Now, these state cooperatives are actually the apex banks, okay, and they are the custodians of the cooperative banking structure in their respective states. While they do not directly lend to the farmers, they are a source of refinance. They finance the district central cooperatives. For example, in Maharashtra, if you say there are 100 districts, so each district would have their own district central cooperative bank who would be reporting to the state cooperative bank. They would be financed by the state cooperative bank, and then they went down to the primary agricultural cooperative credit societies and the farmers. So this while entire structure seems complex, it's very fascinating, because without the help of these banks, the financial inclusion in the country would not be possible. And I remember when I joined NPCI, the vision of the company and our erstwhile MD, Mr. AP Hota, was that every individual in this country, every citizen of this country should be able to use at least one payment product or payment channel. If we as a country, and we are so diverse in demographic, that if we are not able, if we want to achieve this, it would not be possible without the help of cooperative banks and the RRBs.
So one question, Sanket. So from an individual SME or a farmer or a consumer, what will attract them towards a cooperative bank, a local cooperative bank, versus say going to HDFC Bank or State Bank of India and so on?
So cooperative banks, always, always stand out in terms of the service that they offer. Okay, the approachability of the top management and understanding the localized needs. While in the bigger, public sector or private sector banks, you would have a set structure which is applicable, across the country, and yeah, the assessment would be done within that framework. With cooperative banks, those banks understand the local needs. They understand the local geography, okay, and that is how their loan products are also evolved. Even their other banking products are evolved. They know the customer knows them well. They have, outside the banking relationship also, they have got a trust factor that is built with the customer. So I would say service is the most important thing that would make these banks stand out from the other banks.
Right. So in a way, the cooperative banks, like you said earlier, they are really of, for, and by the community, if you think about it like that. So they are really deeply embedded there. The service element therefore comes because it's people like us, really, who are on the other side also, who are making the decisions about loans and so on.
Absolutely. So Rajesh, if you notice one point, and if you just check the history of few of the cooperative banks, you would find them, many of these banks are 100 years old. They are more than 50 years old. So these were started as local cooperative societies in order to help the needy in that particular geography or that particular community. And later on, as the country evolved, these societies also evolved into cooperative banks. So that itself, tells us about the trust or the lineage that would have been built.
So let's talk a little about Saraswat Bank. I think one big milestone really was a big award that you all got last year, was being ranked second in a Forbes survey ahead of almost all of the large commercially scheduled banks. So
Yes.
tell us a little about Saraswat Bank, its origins, and where its focus really is.
So, Saraswat Bank was founded in the year 1918. So we have a legacy of 102 years, and we are into our 103rd year of business. We are the largest cooperative bank in the country. We have a business mix of approximately 62,000 crores. In terms of our presence, we are a multi-state scheduled cooperative banks. We are present in 6 states and with a strength of 280 plus branches. You rightly mentioned that we are the second. We were ranked as the second best bank, just behind DBS. And what gives us immense pleasure is this survey was carried out by folks not in terms of the financial parameters, okay, but more towards attributes like the trust, the fees, the service that is given, and digital services. So, because today we are going to talk about digitization, digital services was a very important parameter that was considered while ranking. And I mean, to be ranked ahead of the biggies like HDFC and ICICI, that itself, gives us a lot of headway into where we are in terms of serving the people. We are also a pioneer in digital banking. And when I say pioneer, it is not only amongst the cooperatives, but in the entire banking sector itself. If you talk, so NPCI was founded in the year 2010. Earlier, the digital payment channel that was available was largely the debit cards or the credit cards. And after NPCI came in, we have products like UPI, IMPS, NETC, BBPC, BBPS. Now, if you see, Saraswat Bank is present on each and every channel, and we are just not present. We have a good sizable number of customers who are using these products. We issue debit cards, we issue credit cards, we issue gift and prepaid cards. Today we are one of the leading banks on UPI and IMPS. We are there for the bill payment services, national electronic toll collection, Aadhaar enabled payment services. This is the payment products. Now the other side to the digital products is your conventional products like your internet banking and your mobile banking. So we are one of the earliest entrants in this sector as well. We have a good number of customers who are using our internet banking, our mobile banking. Two products that makes us stand out is, while there is we talk about using and leveraging the technology that is available, we were the first ones in 2017 to introduce WhatsApp banking. Okay, so not even the big banks are still not there. We have handful of banks which have recently entered this segment, but we are live since 2017, and our customers can use the features on WhatsApp banking to check their balance, mini statement, to get product information, download application, and this is just the start. We are sure in couple of years WhatsApp as a medium is just going to evolve, and now WhatsApp it's gone live on UPI. I am sure down the line WhatsApp would be one of the major players in terms of financial transactions as well. Another product that we are very proud of is that last year we had launched Saraswat Bank 100 Plus. Now this was an application which made customers the self onboarding for customers very easy. And the USP of this product was you can choose your own account number. So in January, while RBI had come up with video KYC as a medium, while this application does not provide video KYC as such, but the customer could just download an app, do his eKYC validations and open an account with us. So while the focus is never largely on the cooperative bank. This is what we can do, and this is what makes us stand out. That we are a cooperative bank, but at the same time we are innovative, and we are always thinking one step ahead.
Oh, that's fantastic to know. And I think because of all of these digital initiatives, the percentage of digital transactions, non-cash, is also very high at Saraswat Bank, right?
Yeah. So in fact, we take pride in the fact that we might be the a handful of banks who have a digital transaction share of more than 85%. So as on last month, we stand at 87%, and during the pandemic, it had gone as high as 92%. And so the aim is to have maximum share on the digital side of the things, so that the customer convenience is served. We do not want the customer, and especially in this era of pandemic and later on. So I'll just give you an example that for my banking needs, okay, I have to wait for a holiday, okay, to take a holiday, and it's not a paid holiday as such. I have to take a holiday because, or on the weekends, my banks are closed. Okay. So if I understand what kind of product I should have, so that I can sit in the, I can sit at my workplace and do my banking transactions. I can sit at my home at any given point of time, 24/7. I can do my banking transactions, and that is the kind of service we would also like to give our customers. So customer convenience is what we want to serve.
And Saraswat Bank is basically has both the there's both the elements, right? There is the retail part, and then there is also the SME part. So talk a little on the SME side. What are the products which are there, and how even has the digital adoption been high even on the SME side?
I would say largely the focus has been on the retail segment till now. I'll be very honest. But yes, like you said, SME is one area where we are targeting. So one thing, if you see in terms of the SMEs and the corporates, the usage of checks is very high. So check, again, while we say at the back end, it's a scan image that it flows, but it's still a paper-based transaction that you have to come to the branch and deposit the check. So we are trying to penetrate the corporate internet banking amongst the corporates, wherein we are on the verge of going live with a new platform, which is a Finacle-based corporate internet banking platform, which would have which would serve. I would say they would serve the complete needs of the corporate customers. Okay. Apart from that, we are also thinking in terms of commercial credit cards, business debit cards. So these are some products which we are thinking, from a SME. So we are also in discussions with a couple of fintechs to see how we can develop some application or some use case for the SMEs and corporates to use.
Right.
So that's while we would like to have our penetration in that segment as well, but I would be honest enough to accept that it's very less at the moment.
So what are some of the key trends that you have seen with respect to digitization with retail banking?
If I talk about cooperative banks, okay,
yes.
I would say we are the followers, okay. I mean, not we as in not Saraswat Bank, but the other banks, okay, the mass. So they are largely the followers. So what rightly or what currently I see is UPI as a technology being accepted, and which is marketed well by the players like Paytm, PhonePe, Amazon Pay. So that has brought in a lot of excitement amongst the urban cooperatives, at least. A very, very interesting fact that I would like to share. So whenever a private bank or public sector bank goes live on any product, okay, or they're coming up with any product, it's a matter of how many registrations they get, and what is the volume that they would generate, and what is the income that they would receive. That's not the case with the cooperative bank. So if today UPI is the technology that everybody wants to onboard on, okay, they see it as a matter of pride, and you would be surprised that few banks would even put up banners and holdings once they go once they go live in their respective geography. So that is the amount of excitement that they have. So UPI certainly is one technology that I think will be picked up by cooperative banks. We have around 106 banks which are right now live from the cooperative sector. But if I look at the subset, so UPI is actually a subset of IMPS. So there are 500 plus banks which are live on IMPS and only 100 on UPI. So I think the delta of 400 banks is still there. And if RBI allows more banks to onboard on mobile banking, because that is one key parameter, a mandatory parameter for them to onboard on IMPS and UPI. So if RBI allows more banks, I am sure the banks and the associated technology service providers, they are just waiting to onboard.
So what's very interesting really is that your mindset is that the customer of Saraswat Bank should be able to do anytime, anywhere banking. I think you've kept on evolving as the new customer channels are coming up. WhatsApp is a very good example. And going forward, if you look at the role of or the evolution of banking itself, the digitization part which is happening. Of course, UPI is one thing you spoke about. Are there one or two other big things when you look ahead in the next 2 or 3 years, which can be transformative from a customer relationship perspective? Because you today have a lot of information about customers. Now, in terms of giving loans, instant loans, etc. We have all of these new features coming up, buy now, pay later, for micro loans which are there, or micro credit, etc. So what are the new ideas that you think, or the new areas which you think will be there in the next 2-3 years to look forward to?
I think in terms of the cooperative banks, the market is open and the use case could be, and I mean the number could be infinite if I would really say so, because today you have fintechs, okay, and they are competing with each other to develop new use cases for each other. And like I said, every cooperative bank today is serving to a specific community or a specific geography or a specific workplace, and they have a use case of their own. Okay, so if the fintechs are ready to not just focus on the revenue side of things, but also to focus on the financial inclusion and creating different use cases, I think it could be anything. It could be a application for dairy farmers. It could be application for sugar cooperatives. It could be something like disbursement of loans, the disbursement of microfinance loans, collection of now we have the UPI recurring mandate as a feature. So you can have recovery of micro loans from the simplest form, that is your mobile banking. So while I would say that innovation should keep on happening, but the usage of the current technology, okay, to the maximum potential is very key and is very important when we talk about cooperative banks. Because see, we also have to understand there is a challenge of them not having big money bags. Okay, so funds is always going to be a challenge. So if I talk about AI and ML, okay, use of AI and ML, the product would be there, okay, but would the bank now, because the bank is as small as a unit bank, or it has only 4 branches, it has only 5 branches, will they have the money bags to basically invest in this technology and sustain it, okay, and at the same time work on economies of scale by onboarding customers? I think no, because they are not able to basically scale up their business the way the private banks do. So I would rather focus on creating more use cases from the existing technology rather than focusing on continuously having new form of innovations.
Correct. I think very interesting point. So basically, and at least at Saraswat Bank, you have the scale now to also be able to do some of the newer investments. I think because of the data that is coming in, machine learning algorithms, data science can become a big use case in terms of application.
As you rightly said, we are evolving as a bank in terms of the offerings that we make. But at the same time, what our focus is also to help the other banks in the cooperative sector. And so I would just give you an example here that we have a few sub-member banks. Okay, so we have a sub-membership model in which we act as a sponsor bank for them for their settlement activities of RTGS, NEFT, or their NPCI products. So whenever we onboard on any product, okay, we also reach out to these banks to act as an agent institution for us, not to promote it as a Saraswat Bank product, but to promote it as your own product. While we will work on the back end, you drive the product on the front end as if it's your product, so that the customer feels that there is something that you are offering, and that comes at a minimum investment for them, because the actual investment is taken care of by us.
So in fact, if you look at the broader story of expanding banking in India, and you spoke about financial inclusion, I think the very important takeaway, I think for me, are two things. Number one, that the cooperative banks, I think, hold the key to financial inclusion in the country, because they have the last mile reach, as it were. They are in the community, they have the connects which are there. And therefore, the second element is that the digitization in cooperative banks also now becomes very important and a critical enabler for financial inclusion.
Absolutely, because see, today, if you take, for example, the smartphone penetration, is so wide, that by now people know that, there's a application of some other bank which is available to you on your mobile. And for that, you do not have to go to the branch and do your paperwork. Okay. And so if I am a customer of XYZ cooperative bank, I would always look up to if my bank is able to provide me these services. Okay, so financial inclusion and technology today would go hand in hand, and that is where the banks, if we are to further this motto of financial inclusion and get as many as people as possible using the banking services, using the digital services, that technology is going to be a key enabler and is going to play a very key role here.
Great. I think it was a fascinating overview in the world of cooperative banking. I think it's something which, we tend to just not see. It's really a huge sector in India, but it's sort of missed out when we look at the large banks alone. And I think you've given us a very good insight as to the role of cooperative banks in India, and the importance really in expanding financial inclusion, and also the role of digitization, how digitization is playing such a critical role in banks like yours at Saraswat Bank. So fantastic overview.
Rajesh, just before we move further, there are just a couple of things that I would like to mention, because this is a forum that I would like to use to bring about some sort of awareness. Today, while we talk about digitization in cooperative banks, and NPCI has been playing a key role in this. Okay, if I talk about the cooperative banks, then we have 1,000+ banks on their RuPay services, and in terms of market share, if we say, they have around 6 to 8% market share in terms of the ATM transactions and the RuPay transaction, POS and e-com transactions. They are still gullible in terms of the challenges that they face. And if I have to talk about the challenges, I would split them on two fronts. Mm-hmm. One is the challenge of funds that I spoke about earlier. Okay. Second is cyber security. Now we know that cyber security has been a very important area for all banks to work on, especially at the scale at which the digitization in the country is growing. These cooperative banks and mostly the smaller ones, they are completely dependent on their technology service providers. Okay, they do not have enough skill sets in terms of the manpower, because that comes at a cost, right? And like I said, affordability is again a challenge. So if there's a forum, okay, or if there's a body which can handhold these banks, okay, and make them understand the importance, and also at the same time implement this cybersecurity framework, uh, that would, because otherwise, even a small fraud is going to bring these banks down, and they do not have the again the kind of capital to bring them or revive them immediately after one fraud. And in terms of customer engagement, I would say customer awareness is a very key term here, because and especially after UPI has come in, you see a lot of phishing calls, a lot of phishing emailers asking customers to share their credentials. And how much ever awareness we bring, there is still a very big set of customers who are falling prey to this every day. I'll give you an example. Just 3 years back, I was on a visit to a tribal area of Palghar district. It's a tribal hamlet called Mukhada, and we met an Anganwadi worker there. She earns 1,200 rupees per month. Okay, there was a balance of 24,000 in her account, which was a saving of 2 years. And one call, and the entire 24,000 was wiped off. I mean, it just gave me, it sent shivers through my spine, just imagining, your savings of 2 years gone in a flash. So what can we do to bring customer awareness? A pan-India customer awareness initiative has to be undertaken, because see, finally, when we're talking about financial inclusion, you cannot leave out the customers of the cooperative banks and the RRBs. And this is one segment which is very susceptible, falling prey to such kind of frauds. So this is another challenge. So I would just be happy to see, a pan-India initiative from the regulators coming in to bring about this kind of customer awareness.
I think very good points both. I think while RBI has actually on the second point, I know, on cyber security and creating awareness against scams like phishing, etc. While they have taken a lot of measures, I think the point that you say is that in the industry by itself, and all the members also have to come together to ensure that this message goes out to the customer. I think which is very critical to ensure customer awareness is really the only way by which we are going to prevent some of these things from happening.
Yes.
Excellent inputs. And we come now to the last segment, the 5 ones, sort of quick, short answers. One future